Happy Democracy Day, Nigerians. We just listened to the speech by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. Very passionate, very inspiring, very motivating. Celebrating democracy and talking about the focus to preserve and protect the tenets of democracy in Nigeria. Also celebrating the freedom and unity in the Nigerian democratic process. Also talked about issue-based campaigns and the level of maturity being displayed within all the political parties. Today, Nigerians, is a special day. When we listened to the president's speech today with rapt attention, he made special mention of Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, and on whose experiences and struggles the June 12 Democracy Day is platformed. Francis, in his background, will take it from here.
Today is Democracy Day. Until June 6, 2018, it was held annually on May 29. It marks the day the military handed over power to an elected civilian government in 1999, marking the beginning of the longest continuous civilian administration since Nigeria's independence from colonial rule in 1960.
After the military interregnum, which largely is one of the major factors that militated against democracy and against the democratization process of the country, a time came in 1993 when an election was held, and we were made to understand about 12 million Nigerians came out to vote for a particular candidate. And according to the results, though that was not released, we were told the late Chief MKO Abiola won that election.
On June 6, 2018, the President Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government of Nigeria declared June 12 to be the new Democracy Day. This was done to commemorate the democratic election of MKO Abiola on June 12, 1993, in what has been adjudged to be Nigeria's freest and fairest election.
Chief MKO Abiola, to the best of my recollection, was a philanthropist. He was one who gave credence to the development of sports in Nigeria. He was one who dined with the high and mighty, in his time. He was no doubt a well-lived billionaire. One of the things I remember him for was he also championed the cause for the repatriation of stolen artifacts from Europe and other parts of the country.
One of the unique features of the June 12, 1993 election was how Nigerians voted for MKO Abiola and Alhaji Babagana Kingebe, irrespective of ethnic and religious sentiments.
For anybody today to be thinking of a Muslim ticket, I think that person, if that person is running for elections, come May 29, he may come to Eagle Square as a guest and not want to hold the Quran or to hold the Bible. We're not even talking of a Christian ticket. Nobody should be talking of a Muslim, a Christian ticket. No. Democracy is all about inclusion.
In today's democracy, I don't think it can happen again, because a lot of water has gone under the bridge. Those days and when Nigeria are one, with one mind and one purpose. But in this present time, even when it meant nothing, people will turn to make it to mean something. They will raise what is nothing into making it to become something. Muslim tickets, Christian tickets, I don't think it will work.
Nigerians today must be ready to play their part by getting involved at any level they can by supporting a democratic system that works for all and not for a section or a select few, and demand accountability from their elected leaders.
If you don't get involved in the electioneering process, you don't have the right to come back and complain tomorrow. That's the whole idea. Every Nigerian should go out and get his PVC. Where you have moved from one state to another, please go and regularize your stance, as it were. You need to participate. This is a democracy. You have the right to vote. You also have the right to be voted for. Make sure you have a say in who emerges as what. We're not just looking at the president. There are governors there. There are House of Rep members. There are senators. There are House of Assembly members. There are councillors. Go out and get involved. Don't sit down and say my votes would not count.
If your vote doesn't count, then why are you being paid for it? If your vote doesn't count, why are they bribing you for it? Why are they stealing the ballot boxes? Why are they doing all that? Your vote counts.
This is another opportunity for Nigerians to reflect and ensure that the labor of the founding fathers must not be in vain. Weekend Deal wishes all Nigerians Happy Democracy Day.
Francis, yes, he has thrown more light, giving us clarity and insight into today. So we can delve in now, talk fully, and move forward from that point. Democracy Day, indeed, is our day today, Nigeria's Day. We're going to be talking with Dr. Umar Bende, Office of the Honorable Minister, Federal Ministry, Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Development. It's great to have you with us on Weekend Deal.
It's a pleasure.
As always. Democracy Day today. It was first May 29th. Now it's June 12th.
Fantastic day for Nigerians. I congratulate every single Nigerian on this day. The day is a brand, is an image, and really a demonstration that democracy has come to stay in Nigeria since 1999. There's nothing else to say other than Nigerians should be congratulated. Nigerians should be recognized globally for withstanding all sort of hideous and heinous incentives, so to say, to sabotage democracy, and really hang in there, going through elections, choosing their leaders, following their leaders, some very critically telling the leaders you're doing well or you're not doing well. And today we're celebrating the day.
Interesting. When we listened with rapt attention to his speech today, he talked about Nigeria in the eye of the world. You know, we stand undoubtedly as the giant of Africa. So it's like we're a role model for smaller countries. They look up to us. So when we do it well, Africa celebrates, and then the world will give us the applause that has been hardly won. He also talked about remembering victims of terrorism, and it promised Nigerians that the government will be unrelenting in its commitment to bring to safety all those who are not yet home.
Yeah, I think all Nigerians should be very proud of our president. Since 2015, this president has consistently remained on track to say that I am committed to ensuring that our country is secure. I will do everything with the last drop of my sweat and blood to ensure that insecurity is totally eradicated. Secondly, this president has maintained his focus on the fact that he will work very hard on the economy to make sure that we sustain our development and our internal strength economically. This president has also consistently demonstrated that he will deal with poverty as a very dangerous social issue. You know, he has remained on track, and also the president said that he will not leave any stone unturned in fighting corruption. So you see, down to this his last Democracy Day speech, he's still talking about insecurity.
In fact, if we take a look at Leadership Trust, Leadership Sunday today, we have Governor Soludo saying that report strangers to police. Any strange faces you see may not be friendly faces. Let the security agencies know so they can address it. That's a good one. You know, when you see something, say something.
Exactly.
A lot has been happening in our political space. And the president also, in his speech today, applauded the high level of maturity, experience, and replicated in all the parties in the election of their candidates as we speak all the candidates for the all the presidential candidates have emerged in all the parties, and the Nigerians are watching and waiting, hopefully armed with their PVCs to vote their conscience. But let's talk about that.
Well, you see, the president again has remained consistent. All the four elements, from insecurity, corruption, conquering poverty, and ensuring that we have a secure system, depends on the leadership. And democracy is about a process for choosing leaders. And wonderfully, our own system has given an opportunity. This country is a very fantastically great country, divided, or sort of like the constituency spread very, very naturally and fairly. We have nearly 10,000, between 8,000 to 9,000 wards in this country. We do elections at that level. People choose their leaders as councillors. We have 774 local government areas in our country. People choose at that level. They choose their chairman and vice chairman. We have 36 states in this country. People choose their governors and deputy governors, and so on and so forth. We have 360 constituencies for the House of Reps. We have 109 constituencies for the Senate. And then we have the president and the vice president. All these are opportunities for Nigerians to behave themselves, to choose their leaders rightly, and then to ensure that everything they want is actually hanged on to this leadership. Now we have seen the elections. The primaries that they call them, but before the primaries, people forget that there were congresses within the parties where they choose the executive committees.
National Working Committee.
National Working Committee at the federal level. States, you have the committees. Local government, you have the committees. The wards, you have the committees. And these people come together. And in the APC, we've also seen a fantastic transformation. Traditionally, when you come to the primaries, the executive committees actually used to dominate the electoral process, and then that fizzled out, and then it came down to the delegates. At the ward level. These are people who are literally temporary electoral college. So
but they wield the big stick.
Oh yes, that is it. And I think again the president should be congratulated for not interfering into the party dynamics.
If we're going through the papers today, we saw some of the riders were talking about President kept mum and did not adorn any particular candidate, and some people have expressed disappointment in that.
Well, you see,
but you are saying that's a good way to do it.
I think so. I think the president has maintained his track record by saying that he is for nobody and he is for everybody.
So let the delegates do their work, and Nigerians with their PVCs will take it from there. I think
that is exactly what happened.
Okay, we'll continue our conversation, but let's go to NTA Channel 10, where they're talking about the legacy of Moshood, Kashimawo, Abiola, and June 12th. Tell us more, please.
Nigeria on the march again. On the march again. Looking for Mr. President. On the march again. MKO is our man.
Apart from the period between 1967 to 1970, when Nigeria experienced civil strife, June 12, 1993 would remain politically indelible in the history of our nation. One man, even in death, has become the face of that era. Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, MKO GCFR, stood for truth and justice. He was passionate about the Nigerian people and was ready to defend the mandate given to him, exemplified by a landslide victory won in the presidential election of 1993 against Bashir Tofa. The dream of becoming a president was thwarted. The election was annulled by General Babangida. MKO Abiola was said to have died under mysterious circumstances. However, the legacy he left is yet to be surpassed by any.
When we want to look at the life of MKO, we are going to look at it from the point of business activities, his business activities, his religious activities, his philanthropist life, and the political life. And if you look at these four areas that I've mentioned, that is known to me, you'll see that the man actually excelled. And in religious activities too. Abiola didn't say that, yes, I'm a Muslim and I don't know anything about Christian. As he's donating to Muslim sector, he's also donating to Christians.
The declaration of June 12 as a Democracy Day and the conferment of the highest honor in the land on Abiola by the federal government is commendable. What should we learn from the past?
I remember that June 12, 1993, like yesterday. It was a day Nigerians came together. We decided to put ethnicity aside. We decided to put religion aside. And we went all out. And why was this so? We were only able to see MKO Abiola from the perspective of a Nigerian who has been able to touch a lot of Nigerians in different areas, in different religious space.
He came, he saw, and conquered. And the lesson that we can learn from there is that whenever you find yourself in any position, you must do your possible best.
Obviously, ethnic and religious sentiment was not a mention in 1993. MKO Abiola won the election that was considered the fairest and freest in Nigeria's history, despite his religion and that of his running mate as well as his ethnicity. Unfortunately, today, the story is different. Destruction of lives, displacement of people, and destruction of properties has been tied to ethnicity and religion.
What happened in 1993 was that we now had a man who could claim, presence in every ethnic group, who was at home with the Hausa Fulani, who was at home with the Igbos, who was a Yoruba, and who was in who had impacted every corner of Nigeria. We had such a person, and because of that, he was now not under the influence of ethnicity. He subsumed ethnicity within himself.
Ethnic and religious sentiments will always be an issue anytime, any day, because we have people who grew up with a perception about people. We have to allow the type of perception of civilization and ability to see things from the other person's perspective. It will always be there.
What is the solution?
The issue of ethnic sentiment should be taken away from national issues. Let's forget about ethnicity. Let's look at things from merit.
We need people who are Nigerians and not people who are identified more with their ethnic group.
The current political class across the country should uphold the tenets of democracy demonstrated on June 12. Dividends of democracy must be delivered to our people, and Nigeria must be great again. The political class should bear in mind what MKO Abiola stood and fought for. All hands must be on deck to ensure that Nigeria becomes prosperous and peaceful, irrespective of ethnic or religious affiliation. God bless Nigeria.
NTA Channel 10, very interesting, and those pictures, the visuals took us down memory lane to the 1990s when Nigerians came out en masse, irrespective of religion, irrespective of ethnic affiliation, irrespective of privilege, status. We came out, we rallied round, we voted our conscience, and we know what emerged. And today, we're platforming our democratic story, journey, struggle on June 12th. Dr. Binder, let's take it from here.
Well, I think democracy is, first of all, we understand that is, and we agree, is a fantastic mode to actually breed our leadership and try our best to lead a good life. First, a lot of people just concentrate on the president. Sometimes they don't, as we speak now, they don't even know who the vice president is, but they're making conclusive things and so on and so on, forgetting that they have local government chairmen very close to them that they have elected. I wished also, building up to the presidential statements on Democracy Day, we should actually have a rhythm where local government chairmen should say what they have done, and you move up. Let members of the House of Rep and Senators say what they actually have, until you get the governors to say. Then ultimately you get the president to make the speech. That means people at the grassroots will understand who is working, who is not working, who is contributing, and who is not. But democracy has given us that opportunity. Secondly, I think if you go through even the current system, you see one lady, I think it's in Adamawa State. she actually emerged as a gubernatorial candidate.
You think?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, well, I know, okay?
Senator
Aisha Binani emerged. And all these sentiments that people actually are talking about. If you want to be sentimental about religion, Adamawa is special. If you want to talk about sentiments on tribe or where you come from and so on, Adamawa is special. But this lady broke all the lines. How? Because she was a member House of Rep, she is currently a senator, and she went down to the grassroots. As you drive the length and breadth of her constituency, you will see water tanks, you will see boreholes, you will see schools with Benani, you will see healthcare facilities. She worked very hard. When the voting during the primaries came up, people forgot about all those lines. Sentiments on religion, no. Sentiments on tribe, no. She's a Fulani girl, young girl, and very vibrant. Everybody followed her. She flattened all the other contestants. So Nigerians should learn from this. Work hard, deliver what you promise people that you will deliver, and democracy will flow naturally.
What about the electorate?
Well, the electorate has to understand that, you know, this drive that we keep seeing now, where people are encouraged or enhanced by resources, is actually an index of, to a certain extent, lack of positive reaction to take opportunities around you, to solve your poverty, to get self-employed and employ others. Most young people now are thinking of employment in the civil service. Why? When you see that a lot of people are looking for good food, it means the agricultural sector is the opportunity.
And with our PVCs, we have the power to vote our consciences. As always, it's great listening to you, Dr. Umar Binde, Office of the Honorable Minister, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Development. Happy Democracy Day.
Thank you very much.
Dayola, you've been talking about and doing research on the trend of money politics and its impact on Nigeria's democracy. Please tell us what you found.
100 million naira. That is what went out of the pocket of all the members aspiring to contest for the position of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under the platform of the ruling party, the APC. 40 million naira was pegged for the same position under the main opposition party, the PDP. The two main political parties have gone ahead to rake in several billions of naira from the fees charged for nomination forms to contest for various positions under their platforms. Some analysts say the waves of public outrage ignited by the high cost of the nomination forms is understandable.
So I understand that 100 million naira is a lot, especially for men who are not young people who are vying for the presidency. In advanced democracies, aspirants are not expected to fund their campaigns out of pocket, and I see no reason why that should also not be the case in Nigeria. A lot of people are able to get support from their loved ones, family, friends, especially people who have built careers also in public service. They have been able to build alliances across the board, you know, reach out to people. They have allies in very high places. So the fact that somebody is paying 100 million naira for a form does not mean that it's their personal resources that they're dropping. Even minus the cost of the forms, the amount spent on consultations, you know, traveling around the country, meeting with delegates, running adverts, you know, the whole cost of campaigning itself is something that I'm pretty certain would dwarf the cost of a nomination form.
Given the socio-economic background of Nigeria, which according to the data from the World Poverty Clock as at March 2022, has over 70 million people currently living in extreme poverty. This is said to be a direct affront on the sensibilities of Nigerians.
There may be good persons able to contest these elections with good ideas to run, but many of them will be shut out. The essence of the Not Too Young to Run campaign was to give opportunity to more young persons to participate. But many young persons do not have the fat pockets that these big men who are able to cough out this money have. So it shuts out those within that young demography. And also it has a way of also impacting negatively in the participation of women in politics, because I don't think there are many women who are able to cough out that amount of money on their own.
One of the main causes of our current political woes stems from the high cost of accessing political power in Nigeria. Many politicians in Nigeria sell valuable assets and borrow money from banks to fund their electioneering activities, and they expect to reap bountifully by way of fat pay packages, spurious allowances, and inflated contracts.
So when people talk about vote buying when it comes to delegates, elections and primaries, it's usually from a standpoint of just trying to sensationalize things. There is no proof that any of the aspirants bought votes. There is no proof that delegates were induced. There is no proof that this election was bought. We held a free and fair primary election. A lot of things will be said in the build-up to the elections. Candidates will come from the many parties that we have trying to secure your vote, but you also have to decide on who you think will deliver on the best for you as a person, for your children, for our unborn generations.
Beside the high cost of nomination forms, politicians have mastered the act of buying the conscience of party delegates or electorates with money to have their way to purchase victory.
People now know that delegates get paid to vote, or their votes are influenced by persons who want to contest. It is not supposed to be so. I also know that the last Electoral Act amendment exercise sought to cure that by making primaries nomination through direct primaries only, so that every person who is a registered member of a political party can participate in nominating their candidate. That would have taken out the powers of governors and influential members of a political party to bribe a few persons to determine who emerges.
The scenario puts the intelligent, patriotic but poor citizen in a disadvantaged position to get to power. Besides, if the rich one wins, he or she will recoup his or her investments and go ahead to amass more wealth to the detriment of the nation's well-being. If this trend is not reversed through strong electoral legislations and enforcements, Nigeria's democracy will gradually become the government of the rich, by the rich, and certainly for the rich.
Dio, that's quite interesting, and it's something that is unfolding right before our very eyes. Everyone is talking about the amount of money, humongous sums that have been going around with regard to primaries, politics, and what's happening, the trend right now in general. Join us as welcome a very special guest. A senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a former governor of Kano State, and the presidential candidate for the NNPP, Senator Rabiu Kwakwanso.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you with us on the weekend.
Thank you very much.
Many of us have heard a lot about you, and it's a privilege to meet you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
That feature we just had talked about politics and money. There's a trend. There's so much money being spent. But before we delve into that, Democracy Day. Nigeria has had an interrupted 23 years of democracy. And today, hallmarks one of our giant strides. Let's talk about democracy in Nigeria in general.
Thank you very much. Let me say that I thank Almighty God for showing us this period. I remember in 1998 when we were forming PDP, I believe none of us was sure of seeing even the following day, talk less of 23 years. So I thank Almighty God for showing us this time. And I believe in the last 23 years or so, we have learned so much. And I believe that the country has every reason to be happy despite all the failures of the politicians and other professionals in this country. I remember in 1998, our primary goal was actually to remove the military, to bring back democracy to the country. That was when we all came, people from different backgrounds, people of different ideology, and we came together with one sole aim, mainly to sack the military. And that was a big success because it was achieved. And I believe at this point, one has to thank also Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, because it was during his time, our time, that the seed of democracy was really planted. And that's why one of the reasons, one of the pillars why we are enjoying democracy up till this time, despite all the odds that we have seen in the last 23 years. The last 23 years we have seen a lot of failures, especially in the areas of economy, in the areas of security, and even in the politics itself. So, but by and large, I believe that we have achieved a lot. Many areas have seen a lot of improvement positively. On the other hand, there are many areas that we would have done better as leaders and as a country.
And luckily, we have another opportunity in a few months to make the desired impact or begin to take giant strides in the right progressive direction. The talk, the trend is that there's a lot of money being brought into the political space. Some of the opinion that we're not really doing things the right way. We don't know our democracy, our politics is something we have watched from other countries, and we're growing as gradually with the hope that we're growing in the right way. With this trend, how would you say is the impact on politics will be?
People with the ideology of making people very poor, accumulating wealth, and then when election comes, they go to them and give them, and they have no option other than to collect and vote for them, either at primary or even secondary.
Where would that leave us in the long run if we continue to say because we lack, or because we are poor, or because the times are daunting, we continue to collect? In the long run, how will it fare? How will it impact us as Nigerians?
Yes, you see, that's the one on one hand. On the other hand, there are people like me, I am part of that group, who believe that if you have any opportunity to serve the people, you should serve them well, you should empower them, and they should be over and above whatever little money people or leaders will bring, or politicians on the day of election. So these are the groups that we have. I can tell you, all people who are conversant with our version of politics are not coming or being part of our group because of money. They are with us believing that one day we will have opportunity, and when we have that opportunity, they will have their own version of opportunity, meaning that they believe that there would be security, there would be improvement in the economy, there will be opportunities for their children to go to school, there will be opportunities for their families and themselves to go to good hospitals, good infrastructure, and so on and so forth.
Word out there now, what we're being told, what Nigerians with their PVCs want to do, they want to look at individuals, not the platforms on which they are running. But I want to ask you something. Nigerians will be going to the polls soon. Before we come to the party and you as a candidate, what are those qualities we're looking for? Because I believe you're telling me you're antecedent to tell us that you possess some qualities that Nigerians need to seek in electing a leader for the highest office of the land. But what qualities should we be looking out for, male or female, as we pick a candidate worthy to be at the helm of affairs in Nigeria?
Yes, number one is integrity. You have to look at the antecedents of the person seeking to be in office. I think we have passed the level of any experiment now. We want people of proven integrity. We want people of capacity, because we may have integrity and probably lacking in the capacity. And that means it will be extremely difficult for you to achieve anything. So these are the two major things. Of course, when you put all this together, you should expect good governance, which is very important. And of course, you expect handling the politics itself in such a way that Nigerians, not only members of your political party, feel that they are part in government, and parcel of the government. You see, if you are president, you are not just president of your family or even your political party. You are the president of everybody. anybody within the borders of your country have got responsibility on you and vice versa. So I think the major things are, in my opinion, the integrity of the person and capacity of the person. Of course, there are other things that people must have to look at, especially the issue of experience. If you don't have an experience, you are just elsewhere by the side, and you are given that particular job, you find it very difficult to handle. And that is why in 2023, people are looking for people who can win the election and at the same time who can do the job well. Somebody who can unite the country, somebody who can improve the economy, and somebody who can stop the killings, the insecurity that we are seeing today in the country, especially in northern part of Nigeria.
This primaries is being tagged the delegates primaries, the just concluded one, and many of the amounts of money we're talking about stemmed from the progressive move from delegates being elected to candidates being elected. And I've heard some politicians say that they did not part with any amount of money, that what they did was just logistic support. But can we ask you now, how much money did you have to part with for the delegate to emerge as candidate?
I can tell you in our party, we gave close to nothing because I am not in government. I'm not, even when I was a government, we did
We're not giving it out so generously.
We did everything possible to protect our integrity. We have done that over the years successfully, and that is why we are even here. So I was really surprised and disappointed with the amount of money people were quoting around that were given to the delegates. And you can imagine people who have spent that money, what they will do when they succeed, when they form government. I hope they didn't even borrow the money because they will be even more under pressure to take government or money from treasury. So I think we should be more sensitive to what is happening on the ground rather than just closing our eyes to assume that anything goes.
Can I ask you a question? And I want an honest answer. Are you of the opinion that with the way things are in Nigeria, that a presidential candidate can progress from there to Aso Rock without spending humongous sums? Just people will vote people in based on just integrity and capacity? Do you see that happening?
No, you see, people have been spending money, especially money for logistics. You cannot come from Kano to Abuja, or come from Port Harcourt or from Enugu, or even from Kaduna or Nasarawa or any of the neighboring states without spending money. But you see, what we are seeing is that people are being purchased like animals or goats or something. Somebody will give, they say, $10,000. Some will say, oh, it's $15,000. The story is even that people are paying $20,000 to one delegate. And now we are talking of thousands of delegates. If you put your calculator, 20,000 or so times this huge number is a lot of money. And given delegates that amount of money, anybody who made that investment, if that is an investment, you'll only be looking forward to be in government to recoup the money and make huge profit. And that's not the essence of government. The essence of government is to go and serve the people. And that's why our Konkosia movement, the national movement, and even the NNPP itself, we emphasize the use of money. We rely so much on integrity and capacity. We rely so much in what somebody can offer to the people. My colleagues in politics should be more careful not to soil their fingers again on the issue of purchasing delegates and throwing out money in the middle of poverty.
It's interesting to hear your view. I do hope that Nigerians are listening. I want to, before I let you go, I want to ask you one last question. Many of the opinion that women have been able to hold their own in the political space. The few that are in the National Assembly, in the upper and the lower house, they've been able to make impact. And we have the trending story now from Adamawa State, where Hajia Aishatu Binani has emerged as the gubernatorial candidate on the platform of the APC. How critically are you exploring the idea of having a female running mate?
Yes, I am so happy that a lady in Adamawa was able to get a ticket in one of the three major parties. In our own case, especially in NPP, we have been working towards getting as many women as possible. I'm aware some purchase forms for State Assembly, for House of Reps, even for Senate. So we will encourage them. We'll do whatever it takes to make sure that they win their elections. I am one of those who believe that women should be encouraged to hold the responsible positions in this country. I will be very happy if I have any lady really that is interested, is capable, and can have the capacity to add value to our ticket, because I'm here to pick my vice presidential candidate. So women are very key, and that was why even when I was in government in Kano, we took the education of women from primary to tertiary levels very seriously. I remember that out of about 3,000 young men and women that we sent abroad to 14 countries, a particular program of medical doctors, 300 we selected, all of them. Out of 300, only 45 were young men.
The rest were female.
Female, to do medicine abroad. That is in addition to the young men and women we sponsored locally. We established two universities, Kano University of Science and Technology and Northwest University in Kano. And we encourage women right from primary, secondary, and tertiary level. We sponsored their education, good quality education, free of charge during our time from primary to secondary to university. It was very free in Kano State.
Interesting.
And I'm happy that we have done that. And that is why even our
You can pick a female running mate now.
Yeah, well, by the grace of God, if you are interested, maybe after this program we can
talk further about how I can run.
Yeah.
I like to talk with politicians, especially those who have integrity and capacity and who mean well for Nigeria. But we'll be doing it from this side. We'll be telling Nigerians, giving them accurate and on point and up-to-date information. But politics may not be for all of us. But we applaud those who are working diligently and assiduously to take Nigeria to the next exceptional level. Thank you very much for this chat. This time you spent with Weekend Deal. This time you've been talking to Nigeria and the world. It's an honor and a privilege to finally get to meet you. Of course, we've all heard about the Kwakwansia movement, and we know your antecedent, Senator Rabiu Kwakwanso, presidential candidate on the platform of the NNPP.
Thank you very much.
We wish you well.
Thank you.
You're watching Weekend Deal. A break beckons. We urge you to continue to watch and learn from our program. Don't go away. You're watching Weekend Deal on the Nigerian Television Authority on this very auspicious day, our Democracy Day. And we have been tackling democracy from all areas to give more insight, to give clarity. And of course, you just saw our conversation with the presidential candidate on the platform of the NNPP. We spoke at length. Please send us your experiences, your comments, as we journey now to Sokoto, where there's a lot of talk about the intrigues of candidate substitution. NTA Sokoto, please throw more light on this.
A fundamental stage in electoral process is the conduct of primary elections. It is a period when political parties elect aspirants who will be vying for different political posts. Only aspirants who won primaries can contest in the general elections. But in view of some eventualities, Electoral Act in Nigeria makes provision for substitution of candidates.
Well, by the Electoral Act, the only window under which a political party can substitute the candidate already nominated to INEC on two grounds: on the ground of death or withdrawal by the candidate. Once the candidate voluntarily writes to a political party saying that he is no longer interested in participating in that election or standing election as the candidate of that political party in the coming election, then the political party have the right now to substitute him, to conduct a fresh primary and substitute him with another person.
Some political parties develop a strategy to take advantage of this substitution provision in the Electoral Act. A candidate can full aspire for presidential post while making an arrangement in case he loses out to have a governorship or senatorial post to contest.
What we have is not rather a substitution, but imposition of candidates who hitherto did not even aspire to contest for an election. As we have seen here in Sokoto, during the Senate, National Assembly and the gubernatorial primaries that were conducted by the PDP, and as we have also seen in Bauchi and in many other places. So it's a practice which, in my own view, is part of political alignment and realignment that politicians are engaged in order to get hold on their political support and ensure political victory when it comes to general elections.
I think it is wise that we have to make amendment for the electoral bills, electoral act, so that this kind of switching between presidency, come back to the governor or come back to the senator, will be do away with it.
The strategy may seem different with the Candidate Substitution Electoral Act, but for now, experts believe that it has legal basis.
Where they have conducted the primary election, but they have not submitted the name to INEC. If they have not submitted the name to INEC, then there is no nomination. So, and the candidate withdraws at that point, so they can reconduct another fresh primaries and submit the name of whoever won the primary. In case of withdrawal, as in the scenarios you have painted, then the political party have to conduct fresh primary election and submit the name of whoever won the subsequent primary election.
I think one key implication of this to democratization, it continue to, as a matter of fact, personalize democratization process, if I'm allowed to use that, and therefore rendering useless political parties and scuttling their effort towards strengthening democracy and, as a matter of fact, quality of governance in Nigeria. So it's not really good and healthy for democracy.
NTA Secretary, you have enlightened us further, and we must remember the words of our President Muhammadu Buhari. He says elections are no do-or-die affair. It's time now to go to NTA Ibadan. There's talk about defections based on different political ideologies.
The advent of democracy, no doubt, has brought about tremendous development in all spheres of the nation, with a lot of jaw-breaking projects all across sectors of Nigerian society. Nigeria has witnessed 23 years of uninterrupted democratic governance, and this in turn has given birth to giant strides recorded in certain areas of the national development. Ever since democracy kick-started in Nigeria, it has faced series of problems and conflicts between parties,
political defections, and some other challenges threatening effective democratic rule and functional political systems in Nigeria remain the order of the day. The major key players in the Nigerian democratic space over time have moved from one political party to another in order to achieve their set ambition. This, many say, is not good for our democracy. The rate at which politicians cross carpet calls for concern.
Within the context of Nigerian politics, I think it's something that is quite worrisome. Yeah, worrisome in the sense that Nigerian politics is yet to be defined and structured within ideological context.
Contemporary political parties do not have very sharp ideological differences, and sometimes parties are organized around issues, but these are not the factors accounting for defection in the case of Nigeria.
An avalanche of defections have hit the Nigerian political system in the last decade. In Oyo State, for example, there have been cases of cross-carpeting of notable politicians. Amongst them are Senator Kola Balogun, representing the Oyo South Senatorial District, who left the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for the All Progressives Congress (APC. The former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Bayo Adelabu, a governorship aspirant in the state, left the APC to actualize his dream in the Accord Party. And now the recent announcement by the present Deputy Governor, Rauf Olaniyan, who dumped the ruling party PDP for the APC. What actually could be responsible for these defections?
Personal ambition of individual, self-interest can cause it, and maltreatment of other members of the party when they are not given their own due, when they are not given their own roles to play. So they feel irritated and move away.
So if they are in one political party today and they get the ticket of that party and they occupy office, if there's time for another round of elections and the party is not favorably disposed, or the party leaders don't want them to return to those offices, they vote with their feet. They just move, they exit those parties and go to other parties that will offer them that opportunity.
How dangerous or healthy is this act of cross-carpeting to the Nigerian democracy?
Of course, yes, it's healthy. When I'm not satisfied in a place and there is other place that I can sit, I can get what I want, I have to move there and get it.
It is dangerous. It is not good for Nigerian democracy. Although we are not practicing the true definition of democracy, they are all fighting for their own interest.
Although many are of the opinion that there should be measures put in place by political parties that gave them the mandate to curb them from defections, the Nigerian constitution still stands on the right to freedom of association.
If there is a crisis, there's split in your party, you can be pardoned for that deflection. You can be pardoned for it. But if there's no crisis within your party and you also move out of your own coalition, you are in for it.
It is, however, suggested that political parties should hold their candidates accountable while a law be enacted to push erring politicians so as to serve as deterrent to others planning to dump whichever political parties that brought them into office.
Interesting dimension there, NTA Badon. We're reflecting, gaining more clarity, and that's how we move to NTA Ado-Ekiti. There's talk about the level of preparedness for the Gubas. Tell us more.
As the gubernatorial election in Ekiti State is around the corner, stakeholders have been grossly engaged in preparation and readiness for the election. INEC, on its part, has registered a total of 988,925 voters expected to cast their ballots in 2,445 polling units across the 3 senatorial districts of the state.
The purposes of the Ekiti governorship election that will take place on the 18th day of June 2022, the Commission will deploy over 10,000 ad hoc staff to take care of the election. And this includes supervisory presiding officers, it includes presiding officers, it includes collation officers, and 2 returning officers because there will be a returning officer for the governorship election and also a returning officer for the Ekiti East state assembly election that was not conducted before. So that's the status.
Besides, INEC has been engaging the stakeholders in meeting and roundtable discussions with views to ensure a smooth electoral process.
INEC has succeeded in the course of this workshop to intimate us on the new electoral law, though we've known about it before, but the agency or the Commissioner Act, shed more light on it to enable the men of the pen, the men of the pen pushers to know how to do the job more, especially now that the Ekiti election and Osun election, they are going to be a litmus test for what will happen next year.
16 candidates across 16 political parties will stand in for the election. The parties and their candidates have been moving around the nooks and crannies of the state to campaign and canvass for votes.
I think door-to-door campaign, it's actually, the advocacy population, right? It's actually a way of getting to know the people, sensitizing them about what election is all about. They get to educate them about the election period, about their various candidates, the various parties that are involved.
As political strategizing permits the atmosphere, people of the state are in high spirit to exercise their franchise and hoping that a candidate who will not betray their confidence emerge as the governor.
Trust matters. Not only that, they should say it. Personally, I want to believe that whoever that is able to deliver is the one that we can actually say, yes, this person is a trustworthy person. It's beyond talking, it's beyond promising. I believe we need leaders that will stand by their words. Okay, let's look at several sectors. We have the agricultural sector, we have the health sector, we have the educational sector. Let's talk about what is even happening about ASU, for instance. I wouldn't know. I don't believe that I don't think that there should be a government or somebody coming into power that shouldn't take the issue of education seriously.
Security-wise, it is expected that there will be coordination among the agencies so that the election runs without any serious security challenge. The Commissioner of Police in Ekiti State, the co-chairman, the resident electoral commissioner, and the state's interagency consultative committee. This is in addition to other members from various other agencies. Their collaboration is expected to have proactive bearing on the election.
As for June 18 election in Ekiti State, the command and the entire force has activated a lot of actions, and we should be rest assured that that day will be safe. All voters are assured to go out to vote, and then that the security of lives and properties are the priority of the people of Ekiti State and voters for that elections.
By and large, Ekiti, the land of honor and integrity, looks forward to a free, fair and credible gubernatorial election on 18th June 2022.
Happy Democracy Day. It's great to have had your company all this time from beginning on till we're wrapping up at this time. We urge you to continue to hold on to those great virtues of integrity, capacity, honesty that the founding fathers and the heroes of democracy have vested in us. God bless you.